cards, we usually get the chicken ligon from Nachman.
Okay.
So today you got the preview.
Exciting today. Wow, short time.
This is one of the longest down there in terms of words. Yeah. We're not going to finish it. Looks easy, simple today.
I'll go with that.
We got back to the goats. Are we live? Okay.
There's a chance of a goat and a cow getting together.
What? No, there's no goat and cow.
Oh my God! Who's getting a goat and
Bechoros,
sheep?
small animal, large animal don't get
Huh?
together. A small animal, a large animal don't get together.
Yes. It's gonna happen. Does that
Well,
happen?
well, I tell you that I heard a story once about an elephant and a mouse coming to the registrar.
A niggin, make a niggin.
You want to get married? We don't want to, we have to.
Actually, we need. Does anybody know where to get wood chips?
Have we never met?
You hear this? You
Wood chips?
We need wood chips for the seal.
Wood chips?
Wood chips for the
I
seal.
have.
You really do?
Get serious.
What
Bags
flavor?
of them. A few different flavors.
Unbelievable. Okay, you just say to me
Wood
now.
chips.
Oh,
Fine.
you
They
have
sell them for
dry
the tikva. They
roast?
sell them here. We
No, I
need
have
them for
little ones.
the.
I have them.
Yeah.
You different.
You're able to like
Fireplace.
lend us some.
What happened does it have?
How do you return?
Same as meat.
When you say you lend them.
All right, fine, good. That's one thing done. If anybody knows how to make shmakas sauces for meat, also let me know. That's another thing. Big day today. Big down. Fine. Omer Reb Shimon. Ani reisi gdio. So what happened? Yesterday we were discussing this unbelievable case. We're trying to see if we could have enough goats, offspring from one goat, not including the grandmother goat, to have enough offspring to do Meiser Behema. You need 10 that are born within the same year from Elul to Elul. Says Gemara, the case, the mother goat gave birth to triplets. Each triplet had 3. That's more than enough. Now you have 12. You don't need 12. All you need is 10. You get rid of the 2 black ones if you want. And then we have 10. 10 in Meiser. We also had Reb Shimon. Ani reisi gdia. I saw with my own eyes. I saw a case. Now, if Reb Shimon is saying he saw a case, he's not just saying, I saw a Maisa. So what if he saw a Maisa? Why would he say it? He's saying to argue. That's how the Gemara understands. Similarly, we had once the famous Gemara where you had the Ben Sayer Myra. Says, it's not, it never happened. Ani reisi. So he's arguing. He's saying, it happens to be I saw a Maisa. He's coming to argue. He's coming to add something. What is he adding? What?
He said he saw 70. He was really arguing.
We'll see what he saw. Okay, so we had this concept yesterday. No. So we'll explain. There's 3 ways to explain this. Time. There is 3 ways to explain this line, but we're not going to explain it 3 ways. We're going to explain it 1 way. But there's 3 explanations in the Gemara. This Amud, 4 actually. Yesterday we discussed this chart. You remember this chart? It's almost the same exact chart as today. Yesterday there was Tinov. We saw a miscarriage at the end of the 6th month, where the red line is the end of the 6th. So therefore, according to Ziri, she could only get pregnant 30 days later. You have to make a hefsek. There's a physical break in an animal. She won't get pregnant for 30 days. So she can only get pregnant at the end of 7th. And therefore, when she's pregnant for 5 full months, that happens at the... Sorry, I confused it. Messed it up. Yesterday, we were talking about this chart. That she saw... There was a miscarriage in the beginning of the 7th. When the Gemara calls it Soif Sheish, it means the beginning of the 7th. Therefore, she got pregnant at the beginning of the 8th. And we said that she could only give birth the first day of her 2nd year, which is no good. Therefore, it's not in the cloud that she could only give birth once in the first year. Maybe this is the first time of the 2nd year. She gave birth already once before. It's a suffer. Today we're talking about something else. Rashi learns, and this is the basic pshat. It's a difficult pshat to understand. I'll tell you why. But Rashi understands this whole Gemara. Ani reisi gdiya. I saw this happening. He says it's talking about a case where the triplets, the first group of triplets, all had a miscarriage on the last day of the 6th month. An interesting case. Last day of the 6th month. So if you hold like Zeiri that anybody that has a miscarriage cannot become pregnant for 30 days, so the first time she can become pregnant, the triplets can become pregnant, is the last day on the 7th month. If you have the last day of the 7th month, they gave birth on the last day of the 12th month. That's great. Comes Reb Shimon and says, Ani ra'isi b'soich. I saw them give birth within the year. Not the last day, not b'soich, b'soich. What does that mean? Even a few days before. I actually saw it happening in the beginning of the 12th month, in the middle of the 12th month. Why?
Also, the last day is also Besoich.
Yeah, but it's called b'soich. You're right, it's b'soich, theoretically, but in the Lashon we say the last day of
What's the difference?
There is no difference. The difference is a very big difference. He's saying, I don't believe in Zeiri. Zeiri says that you have to wait 30 days from the fact that I saw them give birth in middle of the 12th month, not the last day of the 12th month. That means that I don't hold Zeiri. You don't need to wait 30 days. She actually got pregnant in middle of the 7th month, and that's how she was able to give birth in middle of the 12th
Now
month.
you don't need to wait. She doesn't wait. And if she doesn't wait, so Mamela, when she gives birth later, it's not a raya that's the first.
Right, exactly.
Suffix.
It's a Metzias kind of thing.
They're both in the same year.
If I saw
both
her,
be chayav.
I saw that she had a miscarriage the last day of the 6th month, and I saw her give birth in middle of the 12th month. That means she didn't have to wait 30 full days. That means she got pregnant somewhere over here, and that's why she was able to give birth somewhere over here. But according to Zeiri, you could only get pregnant the last day of the 7th month, so she could only give birth the soif, the last day of the 12th month.
Classic machlokes mitzvah. So
Yes.
Yeah, I guess so. That's one way of understanding the machlokes. Ikebinai the Zeiri, they should argue whether or not Zeiri is right. Tanakama Isli the Zeiri, the Tanakama holds that she could only give birth on the last day of the 12th month. Reb Shimon Leslie the Zeiri, Reb Shimon holds and that's the lashon. Ani ra'isi gdiya. What's the lashon in the or I'm sorry in the brayso? Reb Shimon, 4 lines from the bottom. Ani ra'isi gdiya she isra b'soich shnasam. It's like in the middle of the year, meaning in the middle of the 12th month. Reb Shimon, Leslie the Zeiri, Biboy Seba. Another teretz. And by the way, another pshat in the machlokes, all these 3 pshat that we had yesterday. So not only is it a very short daf, we already went through this yesterday.
says I need to saw that he give birth in the middle.
Right. I need to read b'soich. The point is the b'soich. And by the way, all 3 pshatim over here, not the 4th, all 3 say the same concept. B'soich means we're going in his word. B'soich means within the year and not the last day of the year. Everybody agrees that if, again, the story is a crazy case, and the reason why Rashi comes up with other pshatim is because where does it say anywhere over here that there was a 6 month, that something happened, that there was blood, and it says there was a goat that gave birth to triplets, and the triplets gave birth to triplets. Kulam nichnasis ledir l'saser, and they all can have meiser. Where in the world did the Gemara get anything about them having miscarriages? All 3 had miscarriages. When? On the 6th month. Where does it say it in the words, in the Brisa? You're reading a Brisa, no mention of miscarriage, no mention of a 6th month, and you're coming up with the whole Torah. So that's why they don't like this Pshat Rashi. But the other Pshatim have even greater difficulties. Says the Gemara. Sorry. Everybody agrees that if she had a miscarriage, a goat, she would have to wait 30 days to become pregnant. The question is an animal like a woman? A woman, if she wants to have if she's going to have a viable baby, she has to have a pregnancy of 270 days, and she gives birth on the 271st day. So too, an animal, if we're thinking that there's going to be a viable baby here, then it would have to be 5 full months. Or no, Reb Shimon says it doesn't have to be 5 full months. That's the machlokes. She could be pregnant less than 5 months. Humans are one thing, animals are different. They could even give birth within the 5th month, and the baby will be viable. The Tanakama and therefore it had to be that the birth is on the final day of the 12th month. Reb Shimon Yoledes, and that's what it means. B'soy Shnasa, again, it's now we're talking about 1 day. She gave birth less than a full 5 months after she got pregnant. Everybody agrees that an animal has to be pregnant for 5 full months. Again, we're talking about goats. We're talking about whether we can consider the final day even before the final day. So is 5 months, literally 5 full months of 24-hour days, or the final day is even 1 hour? Well, nafkamina, 1 day, a day before the end of the year. And that's what he meant. I saw give birth 1 day before the end of the year. That's snapshot. The Tanakama lo yamrino mixas hayom kekuloi, Reb Shimon amrinon mixas hayom kekuloi. And that's the Tayshana. Tayshana means even not the final day, but 1 day before the final.
We can't have babies before the time is up.
That's right. And if they do, they will die. Everybody saying that the Kulei Alma Amrina mixes hayom kekuloi. Everybody agrees that you could count the second to last day as a full day. V'hacha b'mechusar zman nichnas ladir l'saser k'miflagei. What's the concept of mechusar zman? Missing time. So we have the pasuk. It's going back to Chulin a little bit. It says, "Shorei kesavoyes ki yivalid v'hoyo shivas yomim tachas imoy." This is the beginning of the pasuk. We'll see the end of the pasuk on another chart later. But it says in the pasuk that an animal has to be 7 days old before you bring it as a carbon. So anything less than 7 days is mechusar zman. It's missing the 7 days. It's missing from the time. Oh, so you have an animal that's mechusar zman. Can you bring it as a meiser? Could you make it meiser? So what happened over here? If, let's say, everything worked out perfect. She had a miscarriage at the end of 6 months. She became pregnant at the end of the 7th month. You go 5 full months because everybody holds mixayim kekula. We hold v'zi'iri. Everything. It's going to push everything off to the final day. Now the final day, the triplets gave birth to triplets. When can I bring them as meiser? If you hold mechusar zman becomes meiser, so I'll bring them right here, the day they were born. They could walk, right? An hour after they're born, they jump up, they start walking around, and I'll push them out the pen door. But if you hold mechusar zman is no good, now I have to wait 7 days. I have to wait 7 days into the 13th month. That's the machlokes.
Sorry. Is Meiser behavior done on the day of the year?
That's the whole. No, we're trying to come up with a story. We have a story.
Within the year, the same year.
Yeah.
It has to be done within the.
The actual taking the Meiser is going to be done.
The
checking.
The 10 animals that are leaving, that are going out the door, must be born between Elul to Elul. Like this. We're going according to the mayor, Elul to Elul.
We know they're born between Elul and Elul. Can you then do it 2 months later?
No. I don't. I think it has to be done that year.
Even the tax authority gives you a month or two to. No, you have to.
But that's not being discussed. The issue is whether you can get 10 together.
I understand that. But we're
All
saying
born in the
that
same
this
day.
baby was born, but could it actually cope going
No.
through the gate?
But he's right, because this baby was born within the year. We got it all the way to the point that it's the final day of the year.
Yeah.
Can you take meiser today?
That's
Or
my
you're saying,
question.
wait 2 weeks?
Yeah, wait 2 weeks.
No, can't.
No, the question is it counted as last year's behemoths or not? It
No,
doesn't
it is
matter when you
counted.
actually do it.
Oh.
Question is it counted as last
So
year's behemoths?
exactly,
or not?
if you cannot take meiser today, so 2 weeks, but it's not part of this year.
You can't.
If you can't take the meiser, then who cares when it was born? You can't take the meiser. It has to be capable of meiser within that year.
We're trying to get a case of 3 generations of 10 animals.
Whoa.
Born in the
Whoa.
same. I mean,
You just said 3 generations.
According to first Pshat and Rashi.
That's 2 generations.
No, we're taking the mother in the.
No, no.
Yeah. In the first Pshat and Rashi. The second Pshat and
We're
Rashi.
not.
You don't need
We
the
don't need it.
mother.
We have 12.
We have
We have 12
12
without
without
it.
You don't need the
We
mother.
have 12.
No, the mother could not be.
We have
the child
triplets
because
plus-
she
plus
was
9.
before.
Right.
No.
No,
The mother can. Now,
Oh,
according what timeout?
The mother was born.
So there is the other pshat in Rashi. That Rashi says that's the machlokes here. Whether we could figure the mother into the picture, and that's the trick. We want to get all 3 generations in, and if that's the question, then you really don't need triplets down here. They could all give birth to twins. So you have 6 plus 3 is 9, plus the mother is 10, and that fits in perfectly. That's exactly 10. Can she be considered or not? Now, if that's the pshat, Zeiri says that after a miscarriage, you have to wait 30 days in order for her to become pregnant. So they want to say that according to that Zeiri, it's like a kolchkin. If after a miscarriage, she can't become pregnant for 30 days, so after her own birth, she has to wait 30 days. So if she has to wait 30 days for her own birth, so she can only conceive a month later, the beginning of the 2nd month, then you have 5 months, so that's the beginning of the 7th month, plus 5 months, it's no good. You already bumped into the 2nd year. Or we don't hold a Zeiri. Perhaps she could conceive a week after she's born, and therefore it would all fall out within the 1st year. That's the other pshat. That's what Menachem was saying yesterday, I think. But that's 3 generations.
I lost already what I was saying yesterday.
What? What happened?
I lost already what I said yesterday. With all these cheshbonos.
I don't think it's a cheshbon. Maybe it's confusing.
I said that it's the second shot.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Turn the page. And we learned. Reb Shimon ben Yehuda Omer, Mishum Reb Shimon, Mechus Zman Nichnas Ladir Lis Aser Va'arehu Ki Bechor. Reb Shimon holds that even a 1-day-old animal can be part of the Meiser Va'arehu Ki Bechor. Right? A Bechor is born Chodesh, has Kedushas Haguf the moment it's born. Ma Bechor Chodesh Lifnei Zmanoi. A Bechor also has 7 days you have to wait, and you can only shech on the 8th. And you can only bring it as a carbon on the 8th day. So too by Meiser, that's less than 7 days old, can become Meiser. It's just like a Bechor. I'm going to compare Meiser Behema to Bechor. What?
This is the question.
The what?
This is what he was asking. If it counts, if Mechus Zman counts still for the last year's Meiser Behema or not? Or next year's Meiser Behema?
I don't see how you see that here.
Really?
You're talking about Reb Shimon, by the way. This is Reb Shimon. Who holds-
Mechus Zman, it's still not in the category, but it's still Kodesh.
That's the machlokes.
Right.
But you're able to take Meiser now. He was talking about a different case, that you weren't able to take Meiser. You have to wait until you're taking Meiser. Can you consider because it was in the year? That's what he was talking about. Over here, he took the Meiser. He took the Meiser, you just cannot be makriv of it.
Oh.
2 separate things. I took Meiser, the Meiser is chal on the animal, and now I'm going to wait 7 days to bring it on the Mizbeach. That's different than what he's asking. Ask the Gemara. Why are you comparing Meiser Behema to a Bechor? You chose one type of Kedusha animal from the whole Torah. Let's compare it to Shlomim. Shlomim is not Kaddish that day. You have to wait 7 days, and then on the 8th day you can make it Kaddish. Let's see, I think I might have printed that pasuk. But that's maybe for later. That's Shivas Yomi. Where's that other pasuk? Did I leave it? No, here. It's really for later on, but it says, after the 8th day, then it becomes a carbon. We'll see more of that soon. Says the Gemara, it makes more sense, the typical Gemara, we have 4 reasons to compare it to a Bechor, but the problem is that we have 4 reasons to compare Meiser Behema to a Bechor, and we have 4 reasons to compare Meiser Behema to Shlomim. The 4 reasons to compare it, how are they the same? It makes a lot of sense to, by the way, what time is that the minion over here? Let's see if we can make it for this one. Whoever did
2
that.
minutes.
35.
35.
Oh, no, but one is Baruch.
45.
Hang on tight.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
8-minute daf.
It makes sense that we should learn Meiser Behema from a Bechor. Why? Shekain Goyal. That if a typical animal that has a mum, a behem, any kachim that has a mum, you have to redeem it. In order to eat it, you have to redeem it. You have to take money and say this money is instead of the kachim. When it comes to Bechor and Meiser Sheni, you don't have to do that, right? We had the whole Masechta until now. A Bechor that has a mum, we always wait until the mum, you're actually starved, boom, then the owner gets to eat it. Meiser Sheni also only gets to eat it. Mum, if the animal has a mum, that was the whole sugi in the beginning of the Masechta. If a person was over and was magdish an animal, after it has a real mum, so a typical animal is Kodesh Dushas, Domim only, where Bechor and Meiser Sheni are not. Kodesh Dushas. Tmuras, if you have a Bechor, let's take a typical carbon. You have a carbon, it's a 100-pound animal, and then you say, I want to be a tzaddik, I'm going to bring my 200-pound animal instead of it as a carbon. So the second one becomes Tmura, it's instead of the first one, and they both are Kodesh, and they both go on the Mizbeach. Whereas a Bechor and Meiser Sheni don't go on the Mizbeach if you do Tmura. Achila, you can actually eat it, the Bechor and the Meiser Sheni. And who gets to eat the Meiser Sheni? If it has a mum, the owner. Adarabba. There's four things that Meiser Sheni, Meiser Behema is similar to regular kachim, to shlamim or kachim. Shekain, pashut. Oh, you have zachar. Fine. By me it says pashut. I have the corrected one. The one that the sheet that brings on the side to read it differently. Fine. So, zachar. A bechar must be a zachar. What's the next one by you?
Kadosh.
Kadosh. A bechar is born Kadosh. You don't have to take any action, whereas Meiser, Behema, and all animals. What's the next one?
Matanos.
Matanos. I don't, because I'm eating one now. Bimatanos. The bechar is a kahuna. It goes straight to the kohen, whereas Meiser Behema doesn't go to the kohen. It goes to the owner. And other animals, shlamim, go to the owner. What's after that? Pashut. That animal could be anything. Any carbon could be any type of animal. Whereas a bechor has to be a male firstborn. Elo Rabbi Shimon Havara Gamir.
Isn't that Zachar?
Oh, so what's the pshat? Maybe no. It has to be firstborn though. Firstborn versus the second.
Any other.
Yeah. Says the Gemara, Havara Gamir. There's the same word, Yavar Tachsa Shevet. When you do the Shevet, you do the Meiser Behemah, has to go underneath. And by Pidyon Aben, by Pidyon, by Bechor, it also says, what's the Lashon? Va'avartikol Peder Rechem. Va'avartikol Peder Rechem. Has it by you? Good. So that's it. That's how we learn. That's not because we have four things that make a bechor similar to Meiser Behema, but rather because we have Gzera Shava, Havara. Hechidami Tinuf, this Tinuf that we're talking about, soiled blood, what does it look like? What is it? Amarava Keda Amri, Ravasa, it's also the shepherds of the place called Tzolsa, they say, Atzar, like with an ayin, it stopped, Chevasa, the womb stopped. So when they say such a thing, when they see, if there's a little blood, they don't say something like that. But when a shepherd gets all excited, he's nervous that she just lost her baby, she miscarried, he's going to say, Atzar Chevasa. This is blood of a stoppage of the womb, which created that it disintegrated and turned into blood. Shmuel Omar, Ba'abu'e Dedama, when you see blood bubbles, that's how you know that there was a miscarriage. You have to show it to a chacham. Chacham and Yoda. How does the Talmud Chacham know these things? It's interesting that the Gemara says it here. Here the Gemara says, listen, Talmud Chacham don't know everything. They don't know about the bloods and stuff like that. Amar Papa, Roy Chacham, you're right. We're not talking about a Talmud Chacham. We're talking about a chacham in his
Field.
expert in his field.
We saw this now in Avodah Zarah.
What?
I think we saw this in Avodah Zarah also.
I said it Dafka first for you.
So
Yeah, I knew you're gonna get all excited. No, we're talking the chachamim show their expertise, and they say they understand the
The
stars.
guy
the
you
moon, and
brought
this.
to Shach the thing,
Okay.
he was a Talmud Chacham and he's an
Okay,
expert in that.
but not because he's a Talmud Chacham was he an expert. Not every guy sitting in quiet.
Right.
A guy with a big Talmud Chacham that I actually sat in my house and he said 2 days ago he told me he didn't understand a thing in Chul and he completely didn't get it. So the one thing is
Right.
if you're a royal Chacham, you're a Chacham.
Good. What do you want to say this?
Did you ask him another Mercedes also?
He offered, whatever he offered.
But it's not a professional rower, it's not a Talmud.
What?
Then you can't show it to a rower who's not a Talmud.
Really?
It says rower chacham.
It doesn't mean the Talmud
Oh.
Chacham. The Roy was an expert in his field. That's Talmud Chacham.
Chacham is
He's a vet.
No. Look, I'll tell you, there's no,
He's a vet. He's a smart vet. That's all I mean.
what is it called? A woman that gives birth.
Midwife.
Yeah. What? Rabbi Schoenberg. What is a midwife also called? One of her names is Chachama. But she's not a Talmud Chachama.
Who says?
She doesn't have to be. She's a Chachama. If you're a Chacham in your field, you're a Chacham.
We say yesh chachma bagoyim.
Okay.
Okay.
You know the right.
Oh, Rav Chisda.
Just though.
Arion. Yetziras havlad bi'isha arboim yoim. It takes 40 days for the fetus to be formed. And if a woman miscarries before those 40 days, she's not a nida. It's not. I mean, she's not a yuledes. It has nothing to do with bechar. It's not going to bother for bechar. Boy Rav Chisda. Can we say? Is there a certain? When we said yesterday or today, tinuf, there was a miscarriage. Maybe 30 days. Did I see what's his name? I thought I saw something. Meisels, no?
Yeah, he left.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
Yeah, he left.
Just hit me that he came. Okay, fine. He wasn't here. No, he wasn't here for 2 months.
Such a multitasker.
I don't know what
Give
happened.
it a
All
share.
of a sudden, just hit me.
Watching people all at the same time.
Bebehema bekama. Maybe if there's a certain time, let's say 30 days or whatever, then anything less than that is not considered tinuf. It's not a miscarriage, just like by a woman. So Rav Papa learned different shot than we learned in Ziri. He learned in Ziri that when Ziri says you have to wait 30 days because that's how long it takes for the fetus to form. It's a 30-day. So anything less than that wouldn't be counted as a birth.
Discharge.
Just a regular discharge, with nothing to do with the miscarriage. Says the Gemara, no, you learned the wrong shot. We were talking about that over there. Within 30 days of a miscarriage, she's not going to accept upon herself a
Now
male.
what?
Not that's how long it takes to form a vlad. He was understanding that she gets pregnant and it takes 30 days to form. That's not what Ziri is talking about.
What we were saying before that it's
I'm trying to make it important.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, go on.
What we're saying before is my friends see us.
Yeah.
So we can see here, for example, it gives the example of a woman. The embryo is fully developed in 40 days.
There's a bulk
Yeah.
Well, in science today, if you would ask them about this 40 days, I don't think they would agree with you.
Even by a human.
By human, yeah.
Why would they agree?
Because there's different
Stages.
This whole business with the law of abortion, at what stage is it considered
All I remember is a lizard stage. There's a stage that looks like a lizard, no?
I'm saying,
I don't know what that is.
They try and push back the date as much as probably. It's not a fixed thing. So Chazal told us 40 days. So it's a question of definition. When is the development of?
It's very interesting. I just realized now. We say it all. So that means the day of conception. I never realized that. The day of conception is 40 days before the Yitzira, because it takes 40 days to form the Vlad. 40 days after what? After conception. So that's what you just said. I never realized that. What? I always thought 40 days before a woman gets pregnant. That's what I thought. Or 40 days. I didn't know what it was. Now I'm saying the Gemara says it takes 40 days for the fetus to form. Anything before the 40 days is not considered a fetus.
Right.
So our boimim koidim yitziras havlad. The Yitzir is 40 days later. So the night of the conception, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, oh, this conception, not forming, conception.
Yeah, that's what the DNA is mixed.
The day the DNA is mixed, but there was no form, there's nothing there. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, that is going to be, maybe a new pshat. Or maybe that's the easy, everybody understood pshat and just I didn't, but okay.
Matzino.
Matzino lokeach migoy. Until now, the whole Mishnah that we had yesterday is discussing purchase, a Jew buying an animal from a guy, and he has no idea if this animal had a firstborn or not. And now his animal is giving birth, and he doesn't know if this animal is a Bechor. And we cannot trust the guy. What if a Jew says, specifically, right? Everybody understands. If a Jew says, my animal gave birth, you don't have to worry about a Bechor anymore. We trust him 100%. Why? This guy disappeared. He vanished. We have no idea how to contact him. Now we have an animal. There's no paperwork. We don't know if this animal had a baby or not. What do? Three-way machlokes to all sides. Either we know for a fact it never had a Bechor before, and your animal is a Bechor, or we know for a fact it did have a Bechor, your animal is not a Bechor, or what's the middle? Safek. Look at me, Yisrael. My Omarav Bechor Vaday. Rav says you must give a Bechor. The Misa the Bechoro, because if in fact this animal gave birth before, the owner would have pushed the sale, and he uses it as an advantage in the sale. He says, look, my animal.
I did it already.
Oh.
I did Bechor already.
What's the advantage?
You don't have to do it. The next payment, you don't have to do it.
Very good. So now look at Taisus real quickly. You have it. Here's Bakuntris. So Taisus brings a Rashi that doesn't exist by us, and he says that Rashi says that now she will have an easier childbirth, because once you went through the process, the second one comes easier. I think by humans also, it's like they say the first childbirth is like the longest, hardest kind of thing. Fine. Abu Goy.
Look, Rashi doesn't say that here.
That's what I just said.
All right.
I said I don't see the rest. Abu Goy. Inami Omar Lehachi, Ein Bidvar Vemes. Even if a guy would say it, you can't trust him. If a guy is pretending to be talking to you and just, oh, by the way, she had a kid yet last year and not trying to push the sale, don't believe him because he's still trying to sell it to you. And that's the pshat that you were saying. By the way, you're going to save a whole animal. You don't have to give it to a kohen. It makes a lot of sense, that pshat. Says the Gemara, Tanya Kava say, oh, sorry. Shmuel says, the guy has no reason to start telling you about her past because he thinks that you're buying it for meat. And if you're buying it to shecht it doesn't matter if she had a child before now. So therefore it's a suffix.
It's not true, because the third born calf is the most meshubach.
Yeah, Egel Tilta.
Yeah, so it is. Each calf is soft.
Oh, you're saying that the Shabbat for that. I hear. Maybe it's only in calves. I don't know. Who said in goats? Rabbi Yochanan says no. You need to understand that this, if yours wasn't a Bechor, if she didn't give birth before, then he would have to tell you. My time a Jew doesn't want to be machshel his fellow Jew, so obviously she already gave birth, and therefore it's not a Bechor. It's not a Bechor. Tanya Kabbalah said Rabbi Yochanan Omar Chulin. It's not a Bechor. We say by Oisev as Benoi. Im loy hoidiyoi. This, by the way, if you know the answer to this following question, you get to come to the seal. In what Masechta do we learn that only 4 times during the year you have to tell the buyer that, by the way, I sold the mother today, so don't check the baby. Sachem, who said that? Oh, that's because you weren't by Chulin. That's the Mishnah in Chulin. Mishnah in Chulin, towards the end of Chulin, that only 4 times a year during Erev Yontiv, when people shecht a lot of animals, so we have to be concerned that the two buyers are going to shecht the mother and daughter in the same day. You have to let them know. If the buyer didn't hear anything from the seller, it's not on him to find out. He doesn't have to ask about it. If the seller didn't tell him, then obviously it's kosher to shech today. So Mele Bayos also, if he didn't hear anything about a Bechor, obviously there's no problem with Bechor. Maybe there should be a kasha on Rav Shmuel that over here you can prove from the fact that he's quiet what the seller meant, what happened there, and Rav Shmuel don't hold that. Hasan b'moichet hayin milsa. By Oisav is Benoit, there's a special pasuk with Loi Sishchatu, and we learn it if you remember Loi Sashchitu. You have to make sure that somebody else is not over in the Shchita of Oisav is Benoit. Over here, the onus is on the buyer to find out if there's a Bechor problem, not on the seller. Because Rashi brings, it says, B'vkarcha of the tzoincha. Your bakar, your tzoin. Once you buy it, it's your responsibility to find out about Bechor. Should we go to the Mishnah?
Yeah.
We could start tomorrow, fine. I mean, it's a short Mishnah. Yeah. You got it. Have a wonderful day. All right, Noah. You too have a wonderful day. That's what's
Sell a lot of houses.